Hello there. Today we're gonna talk about Russia, past, future, and better future. Or as I can put it, Russia, what happened, what is happening, and what will happen. I'm Alina, an expert on the war in Ukraine, and a Russian in the past, a Russian university teacher, and economist and financier, and now I'm a Canadian writer and traveler who lives in Canada for over 18 years and an expert on the war in Ukraine because I did research it for over 9 years. Not just war in Ukraine, but the situation in Ukraine in general, Maidan, and then war in Ukraine, which started in 2014. But today we're gonna talk about Russia and its future in the new year and further. Russians love to predict future. They love to use cards like playing cards or tarot cards or something like that to predict what's gonna happen and so on. And that is exactly what we're not gonna do today. Why not? Because it's silly, that's why. And because it's not gonna tell us what the future gonna bring. But I can do my best. Today it would be such a little bit predictions, my predictions, which is as all predictions you will have to take with a grain of salt. So I'm trying to say something will be more or less accurate, but something will be little bit not so much. Okay, what happened in the past with Russia? One of the main things is that Russians doesn't know their own history very much. Not many actually know what happened in the past. That is why they're so easy manipulated by Putin, who is in power for over 20 years and basically lied to them all the time. And this picture of him is from channel Popular Politics, which in the end I'll show you a little piece about that, about what Russians are wishing Putin in the new year. I want to start my video with warning for Russians, for Russian men. In Russian video I will elaborate on it more. One of the things was definitely gonna happen. There is no need to be specialist in predictions to say that. Mobilization in Russia is continuing. It never stopped. So my prediction is that if some Russian men run away from mobilization and right now hiding somewhere, it would be extremely stupid of them to come home for celebrating New Year, because New Year is a big deal in Russia. It's way bigger than Christmas or anything, which again, Russia celebrate Christmas as Russian Ukrainian Orthodox Christmas on January 7th. So neither on Christmas, no on New Year, don't even think of showing up your face at home, because that's exactly where Putin's people gonna arrest you and take you right from under the Christmas tree and pull you away from the Christmas table full of food and amazing salads and other food which Russians put on the table for New Year. At least that's what exactly I would do if I would be on the place of Putin's mobilization people. They not as stupid as they were in the beginning, and when people could run away to Georgia, run away to other countries, they're gonna close this window within hours from what I'm talking to you now, if some of it already closed. And so if you don't want to die and become a murderer or die in Ukraine, run away now. And let's talk about Russian politics in the past. Soviet Union, as many foreign English-speaking people know, wasn't the guarantor of peace as Russians thought about it. Soviet Union was a threat of peace. And they directly threatened the world with nukes in the past, many times. So did Russia. And now Putin doing it again and again and again. It's nothing new about that. So deep in the past we're not gonna dig, because I would only suggest for people, Russian people especially, to learn history of Russia, to know what's happening now. It's basically the same thing that happened before. People who live long enough, longer than me or as much, know I lived in Russia and USSR, so I didn't know it back then. But you do. You know what kind of threat USSR and Soviet Union was. And I'll tell you, they never had communism as you thought. But I'm not gonna elaborate on it right now. I just say it was always a dictatorship or totalitarian state. Even the USSR didn't say we built communism. They said we built socialism, which was a stage before communism, but neither one of them were built in Russia or USSR. It always was a dictatorship, and it always was a threat. It was less threat before the 2014, before the war in Ukraine and annexation of Crimea, and as a result, that Russia became less threatening, more friendly. Many countries decided, especially NATO countries, were reducing NATO forces in Europe. And I proved it in many of my videos. I'm not gonna do it in this one. Significantly reducing, closing military bases and everything. So Russia could build, after the perestroika and during perestroika, Russia could have a chance for a freedom. It could build good relationship with other countries, but it didn't happen. We're not gonna talk today about why it was happening. This is just a fact. It didn't happen eventually. It was better, Russia was less threat and more friendly, but it didn't happen eventually. As a result of it, Russian economy was going down. It was okay, more or less, holding up just because of the oil prices. And every time, as you can see on many channels like Jake Bro and everything, I'm an economist, but I'm not gonna go in economics too much. As soon as prices on oil was going up, Russian threat was going up as well. Putin was starting to threaten the world, especially in Putin times I'm talking about, starting to threaten the world more and more. As the price is going down, Russia not so cocky all of a sudden. So this is what happened. And international relationship, the same. Like Russia started to be more cocky and pumping the chest like a gorilla in the zoo every time the oil price is going up. So what happened? In 2014, Russia started aggression in Ukraine. They attacked Crimea, and I'm actually making a new video about this, which will have more proofs and videos from the time period, which I was collecting for years. And you will see it very condensed how it actually happened. Ukraine has nothing to do with it. Ukraine did not provoke Russia or anything. NATO has nothing to do with it either. You're welcome to watch some of my videos briefly about war in Ukraine, or important to know about war in Ukraine. And there is playlist war in Ukraine in general. It's in English and in Russian. There are videos in both languages. So you're welcome to see it if you want to know more about it in details. So as a result, NATO started, after Russia attacked Ukraine, annexed Crimea illegally, and created two illegal states, so-called Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics, which is, again, I was proving a lot of stuff about that on my channel already, and I will do it more in the new year and in this year as well. Of course, neighbors countries, especially ex-USSR countries or ex-countries of Warsaw Pact, which know what Soviet Union and USSR looks like, they became afraid. They begged NATO to bring more forces, and right now it is happening after full-scale invasion of Russia into Ukraine. Put themselves on the place of these countries. Like, imagine you live in a house with your family, and then across the road from you some shady house, which there is a guy Ivan living with his family, and he known for his violent temper and this and that, and he's maybe drinking, maybe some other problems, who knows, which is, as a result, his family sometimes not very well fed or dressed on this and that, so you feel sorry for them, and you sometimes helping them. You see the son in winter didn't have a decent jacket, and you let Ivan's wife to borrow money from you, and then you find out that instead of buying his son a jacket for the winter, Ivan bought a gun, a hunting rifle, let's say, or something. And he threatened the neighbor beside you and took away his house, threw the neighbor out, threw his family out, and say, well, this house is mine now. What would you do in this situation? Would you sold the weapons you already have at home? Let's say you're a hunter or you like trap shooting or something like that. I don't think so. And next neighbor coming to you say, look what Ivan did with this guy. Maybe we should get together and kind of stand up against him and kind of buy more arms. I think this situation would be way more likely. That's exactly what was happening with NATO. You're welcome to watch what Mr. Stubb, the ex-Prime Minister of Finland, has to say about living beside Russia and so on the border. So it's not NATO was running around these countries and begging them to become NATO members. No. These countries became because they were afraid of Russia. This is the result. What's the results for Russians of the war in Ukraine? It's basically the economy gonna collapse. They're already cannibalizing planes and cars. Before they couldn't even produce telephone in Russia. They couldn't even dig for their own oil, drill for their own oil. That's what foreign companies was doing for them. And now they're leaving. Many foreign companies left Russia. This is a result. This is what happened now. So economy not gonna be good. Why would it be? If you have only one customer, you know that the customer gonna dictate you the price. Right now, Russia can sell their gas and oil only basically for China and India, who is of course gonna twist their arm and buy it for the prices of peanuts. People who involved in oil production know that you're supposed to use those pipelines to be able to, so they're not gonna freeze, they're not gonna get destroyed in winter, especially in harsh winters like Russia. So nothing good gonna happen that way at all. And the main people who would buy in Russian oil and gas, it was Europe. And now the threats of Putin finally get to the people in Europe, and they said, not gonna happen. We're gonna stop buying this. How come it's gonna be better for Russia? There is no point. There is no question it would be worse. Already people losing the jobs in Russia. Pensioners before was living in poverty, now they're gonna starve. So this is the future what Russia gonna have. And all of that results of the Putin and his mistake, fatal mistake, his imperial ambitions, and imperial ambitions of many Russians who supporting him, who was screaming, Crimea is ours. Apparently they weren't taught in family probably that it's not good to steal things. It shouldn't be done. It's bad to steal things from people. They were happy about stealing Crimea from Ukraine. Well, now they're gonna pay for it, wouldn't they? This is what's gonna happen. Well, everything looks doom and gloom for Russia for now. And I forgot about another part of Russian situation. There is no laws in Russia anymore. There is no constitution. The constitution Putin changed and so on. It's like not even good to use it as a toilet paper because you never know, you might get some disease, who knows. There is no protection of rights. The very position Putin stands on, might is right. It means it doesn't matter what you own. It doesn't matter how legally you own property anywhere in Russia. Who cares? Somebody who wants it, they just come and grab it. And that's what they're proposing on international arena. Forget about property. If I am right now, write on the Facebook that your house now mine. And it doesn't matter that there are my troops in there, my soldiers. Who cares? That's what Putin did with Ukraine. He said Zaporozhye is mine, and his troops not even occupying the whole Zaporozhye region. Just because he says so. Why he can do it and I can't? Maybe I want your house today. So get out, pack your bags and spend New Year on the street, on the sidewalk. That's mine now, because I say so. Does it make sense for the Western and democratic countries? No, it doesn't. And it never will. That is why the society and foreign countries understand that Russia is a threat and Putin must be stopped. Because he's not going to stop by himself, he's going to keep going. He didn't stop before, why would he do it now? The only who can stop them is Ukraine. Ukraine will win. I'm predicting that very clear because there is no other choice. Ukrainians either have to die or they have to win. And right now they're winning and they will win. Especially because whole world supporting Ukraine. And the Russian economy is going down. And keep in mind that Russia lies about everything. Putin lies about everything. He lied about his army, who people thought it's the second army in the world. Turned out to be it's nothing. The same way he lying about economy. And what else happening right now? First of all, the State Duma decided that there is no war crimes now committed in Ukraine, just because it's in the interests of Russia. It's supposed to be good then. So they forgive the Wagner group, they forgive, which is illegal by Russian law to have mercenaries in general. And now Wagner group is one of the armies of Russia, armies of Putin. They try now create a few more private military companies, but they no match for Wagner, which is an army. They have a planes, trains, automobiles, everything, you name it, which no one company, private company in the world has. It's an army. It's illegal Russian army. What's gonna happen to them when the war will be over? There is no question about that. They're gonna be murdered. There would be a knife, like a Bartholomew Knight or a Knight of Long Daggers, or they're gonna be killed because Russia wouldn't need them anymore. Putin allowed them to be an army, a state within the state. He allowed Prigozhin, his cook, fly to the Russian jails and release people out of there. Criminals, murderers, double murderers, people, serial killers. Give them weapons in the hands and send them to Ukraine. They're doing it even in Africa. They taking people out of prison in Central African Republic to send them to the war in Ukraine. Do you really think Putin gonna tolerate it if he will stay in power, if the war will be over, but Putin for some miracle gonna stay in power? No, it's not. That is why Wagner Group will do everything to prolong that war, because while the war is going, they're necessary and they're alive. So Russia now run by convicted criminal, opущенный, like they say in Russian. It's like the criminal who was forcefully had a homosexual contact or contacts in jail just to show who is the dominant there. It's mean the low lives out of the criminals. Prigozhin running, I have a video about criminal authority guy saying that he did it to Prigozhin himself, personally. And these are the people who run in Russia. Putin himself was saying that there is a war in Ukraine, and he didn't go to jail for 15 years. He put in jail people for saying for 7 years, for 15 years, just for few tweets or even liking of the posts of somebody. Yet, when he himself saying it is war, it's okay. When some propagandists like husband of Simonyan, Mr. Kirsayan, saying that there is a war going on, they're not going to jail. Why? Because there is no law in Russia. And I just proved it to you. There is no law in Russia. There is nothing. So Russian people has not too much to look forward to. Why? Because if to look at Russian history, we know what happened in Stalin times. The repressions is gonna come. And yet, there is a hope for a brighter future for Russians. And I explain you why. Because there is always hope for the future. But for that, it's not gonna happen miraculously, like it's gonna fall in their lap from above somehow, for no reason whatsoever. And I didn't find the answer of that in cards either. How do I know that? Because Ukraine had that future, because some ex-Soviet countries has that future, so in Russia has. But for that, they have to do something about it. Why? Because other countries did it before Russia. Many other countries stand up for their future. They fought for their freedom. And that's what Russians had to do. Like, sorry, I don't see any other option. Yes, I'm not inviting Russians and telling them what to do. I am in Canada. I'm not gonna join them on the streets fighting Putin. But I helped as much as I could. I provided information about what really happened. The true facts, which instead of watching hundreds of videos I watched in these 9 years, you will have to watch probably in each my video. You can watch my video and you can verify it because I provide the facts and proofs. And you can watch 2, 3, 5 videos maybe. It's not hundreds. It's doable. You can verify it. You can check it out. You can confirm for yourself what is true. That is way easier than what I have been through, and I did the job for you ahead. As I see right now, there is no law. There is no possibility of the legal ways to remove Putin from power and do it all properly by the peaceful demonstrations. The time has passed for that. Most likely Russia will break into pieces. That is another my prediction, which is, again, it's obvious that it may happen. I can't tell you when, but it may happen. There would be protests, but to me, way smarter, instead of going alone on the protest and get arrested and thrown in jail and tortured like Navalny and like other people. People who were arrested, they just tortured in jail. They denied medical attention. They thrown in jail for no reason whatsoever, illegally, and they really tortured there. They can't get proper food, medical attention. If they do it to Navalny and a whole bunch of other people, why do you think they're not gonna do it to you? No reason. That is why much smarter to be sneaky and destroy Putin's regime from within and doing bad stuff for it as much as you can wherever you can. Organize yourself, get united with other people, like-minded people, and fight it. Instead of grabbing the gun and go killing Ukrainians and become a war criminal and get killed yourself, you get the gun, use it wisely by getting freedom to your country, your family, your people. On the bright side, so Russia has a better future. If Putin will be removed from power and somebody smart will come into his place, Russia would admit its guilt and trying to repair what they have done. Sanctions would be lifted and the other countries would help Russia as well. So there is no point to suffering for decades for stupid decision of a few people and support of them of few other people who were misinformed and lied to. Enough to say yourself like an alcoholic saying in the meetings, I am John and I'm an alcoholic. What we have to say, I'm Russian, I was fooled, misinformed and lied to. But now I find that information, I educate myself, and I'm not gonna support it again. I did a mistake because I'm a good person and I believe that my country cannot possibly do that horrible things. I was wrong. And I'm admitting that. Now I'm do things differently. That's what Russians has to do. They had to admit it to themselves. They don't need to do it publicly. Because it's stupid. They're gonna get arrested and they're gonna be in jail. And like Navalny, nothing they can do in there. Much. Organize yourself. I had a video about how to protest, how to defend yourself during protests, and how to dress up for the protest to make sure you're not gonna get whacked on the head with a baton and then be a drooling idiot to the rest of your days. And don't be home on the Christmas or New Year. It's a best choice to get grabbed and thrown in mobilization and ended up in Ukraine, dead. And there are Russian people who standing up Putin, and even now popular politics show us what happened when they asked in Moscow streets, in Moscow, what would you wish for Putin for New Year? What would you wish to Putin for a New Year?
Пойти воспитывать внуков и оставить свой пост. Пойти.
I wish him to go educate raise his grandchildren, leave his position and go home.
Отдыхать.
Go have a rest.
Мне кажется, ему нужно, необходимо, нам тоже.
I think he needed, and we needed too, the rest from Putin.
И ему от нас, и нам от него.
Ничего
We need to rest from him, and he need to rest from us.
не хочу желать.
I don't want to wish anything to Putin.
Почему ничего?
Why nothing?
Ну, потому что он не мой друг, и мне он не нравится.
Why not? Why nothing? Because he isn't my friend and I don't like him.
Что пожелаете россиянам на 23-й год?
What would you wish to Russian people in 2023?
Смелости для того, чтобы ворваться в правительство и угандошить Путина.
I wish Russians bravery to storm into the government and get rid of Putin.
А что Путину пожелаете?
What would you wish to Putin himself?
Сдохнуть.
I wish him to die.
Сил проснуться утром.
What would you wish to Russians in 2023? I wish them the have a power to wake up in the morning.
А еще?
And then what
Не
else?
знаю. Терпение.
верение, что когда-нибудь все плохое, что сейчас происходит, кончится.
I wish them tolerance and be able to wait until all the bad stuff will finish somehow.
Потому что этот год был очень тяжелый. Даже
This year was very hard.
тяжелее, чем 20-й, мне кажется.
I think it was even harder than 2020.
А в чем конкретно?
Why it was harder?
Война началась.
Well, that the war started.
А что Путину пожелаете?
What would you wish to Putin on the New Year?
Не знаю, ничего не хочу ему желать. Пусть...
Все хорошо.
Ничего просто.
I don't want to wish him anything, nothing.
Потому что, чтобы... вы поняли.
You understand me.
Слушайте, просто то, что я ему желаю, это нельзя говорить публично.
That's woman saying, whatever I wish to Putin, I can't say publicly. So basically, there is hope in Russia, and people waking up, also I hope. And I wish them luck to get rid of Putin, because he is the main enemy of Russia. He is the only enemy of Russia, I should put it that way. Putin and his regime, and people who is in oligarchs who supporting him, robbing Russia, and Ukraine will win, Putin's regime will fail, Russia will be free, and Ukraine will be free. That's my prognosis. Good luck to fulfill it to us all. Have a happy new year. I'll see you soon.